Hello, welcome to Lils and Short, and welcome to a brand new series on my YouTube channel called Suffragette Stitching Saturday. So I'm going to be looking down and I'm going to be stitching away while I talk to you, and I'm going to tell you all about it. So this video is just going to be a little introduction video, essentially, to this new series that I am going to be doing, and I'm very excited for. So in this video, I am going to talk about a few different things. I'm going to talk about, I've got my notes here as well, so I'm going to look down at notes. I'm going to talk briefly about how I became interested in history. I'm going to talk about, obviously, my interest in suffragettes as well. And then I'm going to talk about how I'm going to cross stitch. I'll show you what I'm going to be stitching and the progress that I've made just in this little one. And then how logistically these videos are going to work. So let's start with my love of history, shall we? While I check that I can actually count, because the thing about cross stitch is it's counted cross stitch. Yeah, I'm all good. Right. So my love of history. Now I've done a video before on how I got into history, which you can watch on my YouTube channel if you want to. But essentially, very briefly, in a nutshell, what happened was I was studying Tudors at school, didn't like it, didn't get on with it, just found it way too confusing, and told my parents, who then kind of gave me all the help in the world to then turn something that I found really difficult into something that I not only enjoyed but became kind of obsessed by, and still am. And the Tudors is my first love of history. It always will be my first love. It's not going to go anywhere. It's just the thing that I don't know what it is about the Tudors. I just find it fascinating. You know, Tudors is one of those things where so many people find the Tudors fascinating. Elizabeth I, my historical heroine, and yeah, I definitely have to say, like, as a side thing of that, I'm definitely interested in women's history, in kind of all aspects, including the Tudors. That's definitely, I found myself more drawn to the women of the age than, you know, the men, so to speak. Not just because most of the men are absolute turd holes, but I mean, Henry VIII, biggest turd hole of them all. But I think I don't know if it's because obviously I am a woman, that I just find that natural kind of collection. Also, shout out to the t-shirt. Anyone my kind of age, did you watch Lizzie McGuire? Shout out if you did. Let me know in the comments. Anyway, I then have this love of the women's suffrage movement. So Tudors is my first love, always has been, always will be. Hence Tudor Timber, which was born from a joint passion of mine and my friend Julie's love of the Tudors. So we wanted to do something together, and we have Tudor Timber, and I love it. And you know, although 2025 Tudor Timber is not what I wanted it to be, and I think roll on 2026, I have so many ideas that I want to do for future videos. You know, it's a passion of mine. History is a passion. And the women's suffrage movement, my love of that, I can't actually pinpoint a time where it took hold, where I just went, oh yes, interest. I think it's just, I don't know, I'm interested in women's history, as I said. I think it just kind of naturally just happened. Something just clicked. I suddenly went, oh, women's suffrage movement is fascinating. Let's read about this. Let's research this. And I became completely and utterly in love with it. And then I found myself at this little crossroads in life where I was just like, I'm not really sure what I want to do career-wise in my life and all that stuff. And I was, you know, I had a degree, so I've got an undergraduate degree in sociology, But I love history so much, and career-wise, perhaps I'd like to do something in history. But of course, my undergrad is in um, sociology, so I was like, right, maybe look at doing an MA. And so I was looking about for an MA. Now, something that my friend, funny enough, did an MA, and she said to me, she said, Verity, the advice that I can give you is it goes so fast. Have some sort of idea of what you would like to do for your dissertation, because before you know it, it comes round. So essentially, I was looking at courses of what I could possibly do for my dissertation to obviously align in the course. But there wasn't any courses that I was like, oh, this will work really well to talk about the Tudors. Because originally I thought I really would like to look at the relationship between Elizabeth I and Robert Dudley, but wasn't meant to be. And then I found an MA course with the Open University, which was British and Irish history, 1750 to 1950, in which I thought, well, I can't talk about my first love, but I could talk about my second, the women's suffrage movement. And so I went and completed an MA in history with my dissertation focusing on the suffragettes. And although this is entitled the Suffragette Stitching Saturday, I am not just going to talk about the suffragettes. I want to talk about the suffragists as well. It's just I feel like if you use the word suffragette, it's almost a bit clickbaity in a way, because I think a lot of people have probably heard of the suffragettes, but perhaps not the suffragists. I thought it was more accessible this way. So I will be talking about lots of people in regards to campaigning for the right to vote. Woo! In the early part of the 20th century. Go me. So yeah, that is my love of the women's suffrage movement, and I wrote my dissertation on the suffragettes. And do you know what? I could have just carried on researching and writing about it for years. I could still happily be doing that now. I loved it. The research bit was the most fun bit. The writing up bit was the bit. But the research bit, oh, that was so much fun. I absolutely loved it. And I have lost count of how many I've done and how many I've got to do. Uno memento. Okay, so that's kind of my love of history and how I got into it. Blah, 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 blah. And the suffragettes, although if you could tell me where I started my love of the suffragettes, that would be great. Let me talk about cross stitch. So cross stitch, I have no idea where it kind of came from, but in lockdown, me and my friend Julie, who I do Tudor Temper with, we were FaceTiming pretty much every day because we were both staying in our house. There wasn't a lot to do, and it's nice to stay social. So that's what we were doing, and we would read and do lots of things. And one thing that we did do was get creative, and I decided I wanted to cross stitch. Never done a cross stitch before, but I did it. I really enjoyed it. And then when it came to venturing into the big brave world of counter cross stitch, because the cross stitch that I did before was a printed one, so all I was doing was essentially like paint by numbers, but with cross stitch. Now I actually have to count, and I was too scared, so I just decided not to do it, and I didn't do any more, which I think was such a shame, really. But then for some strange reason, when I was pregnant, I think it's because I just physically couldn't do much my other hobby, which was walking. So I needed a little replacement. I decided to take up cross stitch, which I love. And I have this idea of doing a wall of either history related stuff or suffragette related things. I don't know. Or just all different. I think maybe history and just various different kinds of cross stitch. That's going to take me years to do. I think it'll be lovely. Yeah, and that's what this one's going to be. So let me show you what I am currently stitching. So let me show you what I'm actually stitching. That would be good, and what I'll be stitching throughout this series. So it is from Cross Stitching Magazine. I do love the Cross Stitching magazines. This is issue 414. This is October of 2024. And this is entitled Suffragette Sisters. It is designed by Duran Jones, and this is what the completed piece will look like. This obviously is a framed one. Mine, I'm a bit terrible at getting them framed, I have to say. I'm a bit naughty in that respect because I don't do it. They just sit there. And I am working on the called for fabric with the called for DMC threads. My needle minder, I tried to match my needle minder to the project. So this is Emmeline Pankhurst, this is a stamp, and this is a portrait that hangs in the National Portrait Gallery. And funny enough, the person that did this portrait, painted this portrait, was a suffragette. But that might be a video for another day in this series. What fun. So now I want to talk about what this series is going to involve, how logistically these videos are going to work. So essentially, Suffragette Stitching Sassy, I think the clue's kind of in the title, is we are going to cross stitch. Well, I'm going to cross stitch. You can do whatever you want. You could have me on in the background while you're doing some housework. Perhaps you cross stitch as well. Perhaps you do a different craft. Perhaps you do other needlecraft. Whatever you fancy doing, whatever is your jam, just shove me on in the background. You don't need to actually physically watch me. You can just listen to me waffle. But on a Saturday, now I'd love to say it's going to be every Saturday, but I think that's probably a little bit of a tall order, just because, one, I am researching these videos myself, so it's me doing the research and all that stuff, and I'm obviously limited on time with a puppy and a baby, and all the other stuff that I have going on as well. So I don't know if it's going to be a week is going to be kind of pushing it. I think it depends on the topic of how much I need to prepare for said video. But I mean, I would love it to be every Saturday. Whether it will or not, begs to be seen. So if you get one on a Saturday, whoop whoop. If you don't, know that there is one in the works. But the video will just involve me sitting here like I am now, with my cross stitch in hand, working on the same project, and each week I will show you where we're starting, so my starting point, I'll show you my finish point, and as the video progresses I will be talking about a topic related to the women's suffrage movement. So I want to do Suffragette Spotlight, which is I shine the spotlight on a specific, that's a good word, isn't it? A specific member of the women's suffrage movement, of a particular suffrage group. Not necessarily a suffragette, but perhaps will be. It's all right, I was just counting. It might be someone that was very much anti-suffrage. It could be a whole range of topics. I could talk about films or TV shows. I could talk about certain events that took place. I could talk about certain tactics that was used by the women's suffrage movement. I could talk about tactics that were used by the suffragists. I could talk more localised history. There's loads. I've got a list of things that I would love to do, but I'd also love to hear what you would like to see. There is so much that I would like to talk about in regards to the women's suffrage movement. So much. I'm such a nerd. And do you know what? The women's suffrage movement is one of these really interesting things because I love history. And as I said, my first love is the Tudors, but I feel like the Tudors gets so much love and it gets so much attention, which is great. I am one of these people that feeds the addiction and feeds the attention because, of course, I do Tudor timber. But I do feel like there's other aspects and areas of history, like the women's suffrage movement, that just don't get enough love and attention. And the women's suffrage movement for me is one of them. Just gotta find my next thread. You? Nope. Is it you? Yep. I feel like with regards to the women's suffrage movement, you get certain people who have become lost in history that were once, 100 years a dominant name. And I mean, very briefly in around like 2018, when we had the centenary anniversary of women first achieving the right to vote, there became a good amount of books and publicity around the women's suffrage movement, which was great. But that's really died down now. And I feel like there's more women's stories that need to be told, and men's stories too, that fought for the right to vote. Excuse me. Also, I am one of those people that do that to their floss. If it annoys people, sorry. That was very American, wasn't it? Floss. It's a very American term. I don't think I've ever called it that. Floss. So yes, that's kind of what I want to say. I want to do Suffragette Spotlight, where I kind of highlight a specific person. I want to highlight specific events that took place, but I want to make it accessible to all as well. And what I mean by that is I want to make this a place where, you can come at this regardless of your level. If you've read a good amount on the women's suffrage movement and the suffragettes and those that fought for it, great. But I also want to make it accessible for people that know very, very little as well. So I'm kind of going to hand the comments section over to you now and say, what do you want to see? Who do you want me to talk about in a Suffragette Spotlight? Is there certain events that you want me to talk about? Is there films that you want me to discuss? Is there... You tell me what you want to see, and I will do that for you. So I think I'm going to leave it here, although I am having a wonderful time. Let me just check my notes and see if there's anything else that I need to talk about. I even wrote a script for today. I never write a script, but this is just a more relaxed kind of chatty video, really. And oh yes, that's what I want to say. I want to say in the comments, I want it just to be like a nice chatty safe space. I want us to really like, I want to have this feeling of just kind of relaxed chatting with friends, that type of feeling. That would be really nice. I think that's what I'd really like to have. So I am just going to finish this row that I have just started, and I'll show you my progress that I've made today. Also, I do want to kind of caveat by saying I'm very aware that I look a bit like a toe in this video, but I don't know about you, but I cannot stitch with my hair up. If I'm doing anything, if I'm doing like housework, or certainly if I'm playing with my daughter, because grubby hands, but if I'm doing anything and I'm like, right, let's do this, even like if I'm on the computer editing, I put my hair up. I feel like I've got to. So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it today. So let me remind you of what it will look like when it's done, and you can see how long this is going to take. So that's what it's going to look like when it's complete. And I'll just put this behind, see if that'll help. That's where we are. So essentially we've just done the start of like the mast, and then this will come into the flag. But yeah, there we go. So I look forward to talking to you in the comments, and I really look forward to writing down the ideas that you have for this series as well. I am going to get back now to scripting the first proper episode. Oh, and I just really hope that you like it. I hope you're kind of enthused about this series as I am. I've been planning this series for quite a while now. So yeah, I just hope you enjoy it as much as I do. And yeah, thank you for watching. Can't wait to talk to you in the comments. So thank you so much for watching. Take care, and yeah, I'll chat to you soon.